The rain had been falling for hours when everything changed. A cold wind rushed through the quiet hospital parking lot as Daniel Carter stood beside his old car, his tiny baby wrapped carefully against his chest in a faded blue blanket. His hands trembled, not from the cold, but from exhaustion. 3 nights without sleep, 3 nights wondering how he was going to raise a child alone. Inside the hospital, people hurried past him with umbrellas and warm coats, their lives moving forward while his seemed to be falling apart. And then the black car arrived. It stopped smoothly near the entrance. A driver stepped out and opened the back door. What Daniel saw next made him pause. A woman in a wheelchair slowly rolled out of the car. She looked elegant despite the rain, sharp suit, composed posture, the kind of quiet authority that made people step aside. But her eyes carried a sadness so deep it almost hurt to look at. She was known by many in the city, Clara Whitmore, a powerful CEO, a billionaire businesswoman, a woman who had built an empire despite losing the ability to walk after a tragic accident years ago. But at that moment, she didn't look powerful. She looked broken, and she was holding a newborn baby in her arms. Before we continue this emotional journey, take a moment to support stories like this. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human compassion, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories. Also, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. It truly means a lot. Now, let's continue. Daniel watched as Clara rolled toward the hospital entrance, her assistant walking beside her under a large umbrella. But just before they reached the door, Clara suddenly stopped. Her shoulders began to shake. At first, the assistant spoke softly, trying to comfort her. But then something unexpected happened. Clara gently handed the baby to the assistant and covered her face with both hands. Even from a distance, Daniel could tell she was crying. Not the quiet kind of crying people hide. The kind that breaks out of you when your heart can't carry the weight anymore. Daniel didn't mean to stare, but something about the moment pulled him closer. Maybe it was because he knew what that kind of pain felt like. 6 months ago, his life had been simple. He had a small apartment, a steady job fixing appliances, and a girlfriend he believed he would marry. But everything changed the day she left. She left without warning, without explanation, leaving behind only a short note and their newborn baby. Daniel remembered standing in the empty apartment, holding a crying infant he barely knew how to care for. In one single moment, he had become a father, a mother, and the only person responsible for a life that depended entirely on him. He had been terrified, but he stayed. Every sleepless night, every hospital visit, every moment of doubt, he stayed. And now here he was, standing in the rain outside a hospital, holding the tiny human who had unknowingly given his life purpose again. As Daniel turned to leave, something made him glance back at Clara. She was speaking quietly now to her assistant. The assistant hesitated, then slowly placed the baby back into Clara's arms. Clara looked down at the child with a painful expression. Then she whispered something Daniel would never forget. "I'm sorry, I have my baby." The word sounded strange, almost like an apology, almost like a confession. Daniel didn't understand what it meant, but the sadness in her voice stayed with him. Days passed, but that moment kept replaying in Daniel's mind. Life continued the way it always did. Early mornings, diapers, feeding bottles, crying at 3 a.m., when the world felt unbearably quiet. Yet somehow, Daniel was managing, barely. Money was tight, his old car broke down often, his job barely covered rent and baby supplies. But when his daughter Lily smiled for the first time, something inside him changed. The exhaustion didn't disappear, but it felt worth it. One afternoon, Daniel took Lily to the park for fresh air. The sky was clear, children laughed nearby, and for a rare moment, life felt calm. That was when he saw her again, Clara Whitmore. She sat alone on a bench beneath a tall oak tree, her wheelchair facing the lake. A nurse stood several feet away, giving her privacy. Clara held the same baby Daniel had seen at the hospital. But something was different. She looked distant, like someone physically present but emotionally far away. Daniel wasn't the kind of man who approached strangers, especially powerful people like her. But Lily suddenly made a happy little sound in his arms, waving her tiny hands. Clara noticed. For a moment, their eyes met. and something unexpected happened. Clara smiled. It was small, fragile, but real. Daniel walked over slowly, unsure what he was doing. He didn't introduce himself as a stranger meeting a billionaire CEO. He simply stood beside the bench and gently rocked Lily. Babies have a strange way of breaking barriers adults build around themselves. Within minutes, Lily's cheerful noises made Clara laugh softly. It was the first genuine laughter Daniel had seen from her. They didn't talk about business. They didn't talk about wealth. They talked about babies, sleepless nights, first smiles. The strange fear of holding someone so small and realizing their entire world depended on you. Daniel noticed something slowly. Clara kept apologizing when the baby cried, apologizing when she needed help adjusting the blanket, apologizing even when Daniel offered simple kindness. Finally, Daniel asked gently why she kept saying sorry. Clara stared at the lake for a long time before answering. Years ago, Clara Whitmore had built one of the fastest-growing technology companies in the country. Her life had been meetings, travel, investments, and endless success. Then the accident happened. A late-night car crash, a spinal injury. Doctors told her she would never walk again. At first, she thought her career was over, but Clara was stubborn. She rebuilt her company from a wheelchair, becoming even more successful than before. But success came with a price: loneliness. Relationships faded, friends disappeared. People admired her power but rarely stayed close, until one unexpected day changed everything. Clara discovered she was pregnant. The father had long since moved on. For the first time in years, she felt something other than ambition, hope. But when the baby arrived, the fear came too. She was terrified she wouldn't be a good mother, terrified that her disability would make her child's life harder, terrified she would fail the one person who needed her most. Daniel listened quietly. He didn't see a powerful CEO. He saw a scared parent, and that was something he understood completely. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and Clara kept meeting at the park. It wasn't planned, but somehow they kept showing up on the same afternoons. Two exhausted parents, two babies discovering the world. Daniel showed Clara small tricks he had learned. How to calm a crying baby, how to tell when they were sleepy, how to make them laugh with silly faces. Clara began to relax. The constant apologies slowly stopped, and something surprising happened. The powerful CEO who commanded boardrooms began asking Daniel for advice. Not business advice, parent advice. Daniel never judged her. He never treated her like a billionaire. To him, she was simply Clara, a mother learning how to love her child. One evening, as the sun set behind the lake, Clara watched Daniel playing with Lily in the grass. Her baby giggled nearby, and for the first time in months, Clara felt peace. Not the kind money buys, the kind that grows quietly between people who understand each other. Daniel didn't change Clara's company. He didn't change her wealth, but he changed something far more important. He reminded her she wasn't alone, that being a parent wasn't about perfection. It was about staying, about trying again every day, even when you're scared, even when you feel broken. Months later, Clara made a decision that shocked her entire company. She created a foundation supporting single parents with disabilities and single fathers struggling to raise children alone. Her board members asked why she cared so deeply about the cause. Clara simply smiled. Because sometimes the people who change your life aren't powerful executives or famous leaders. Sometimes they're just a tired single dad standing in the rain, holding a baby and refusing to give up. And if this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe for more stories that remind us what truly matters. But before the story ends, I have a special request for you. Comment the word hope below if you believe that even the smallest act of kindness can change someone's life forever. Because somewhere out there tonight, someone feels alone. Someone feels like they're failing. Someone is apologizing for simply trying their best. And maybe, just maybe, a small moment of understanding could change everything for them too. If this story moved you, please engage with the video so more people can discover it and feel the same message of hope. Because in a world full of noise, sometimes the quietest acts of kindness create the loudest impact. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life is one single dad who refuses to walk away.